Have you ever wondered how ancient tools like tarot can guide us on the path to healing? Or even question what lies beyond the misconception of hypnotherapy? Today, we unveil these mysteries with expert insights from Suzanne Burton, whose personal journey into spiritual healing and mindset shifts promises to enlighten and inspire. Stay tuned as we explore transformative practices that could reshape your approach to personal growth.
This is your space, your sacred time. Soul desire ignites with every rhyme. Feel the balance, let your spirit soar. In this moment, find what you're looking for.
Hello, my loves, and welcome to another thought-provoking episode of the Soul Desire podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca, and today I'm so delighted to introduce a guest who is not only an expert in her field, but also is a guiding light for many seeking healing and transformation. Joining us today is the wonderful Suzanne Burton, a highly acclaimed rapid transformational therapist and clinical hypnotherapist specializing in spiritual healing and mindset shifts. In today's episode, we'll explore fascinating topics such as how tarot can be used as a powerful tool for healing, unravel the misconceptions surrounding hypnotherapy, and we'll dive deep into Suzanne's inspiring journey that led her to this transformative work. With her unique ability to blend tarot insights with therapeutical practices, Suzanne has helped countless individuals navigate their path towards healing and self-discovery. I am thrilled to learn more about her approach and the wisdom she has to share with us today. Welcome to Soul Desire, Suzanne. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Rebecca. I'm really looking forward to our chat today.
This will be so inspiring and interesting because you have quite a lot of skills and you bundle them up in a unique way, and this makes this approach so interesting for me. So how did you get into this? Because it's unique.
Yeah, I really found that I wanted to do something that worked a lot more with the intuition for healing and to really allow people to heal themselves because they have the power to heal themselves. And this is the power of hypnotherapy. As a rapid transformational therapist, I really just act as a guide to your subconscious mind, and really the healing all comes from within. And to really say how I started it was, well, purely I had heard a lot about rapid transformational therapy, how you can regress back to the womb space. So womb as in WOMB, back to, being inside your mother, and also even regress to past lives. But majority of the time people regress back to childhood experiences where limiting beliefs, habits, or fears began and were created. And we really look at what happened there, evaluate it, and then look at how we can rewire the mind to look at things from a different perspective and change the way you see the world and create change and transformation within yourself from there. And it's a really, really powerful tool that I've seen help many people, from anxiety, confidence, weight, addiction. So that's how I just started it. I heard about it. I did a few sessions myself, and I just fell in love with it, and I wanted to offer it to the world as well.
That's amazing. And this is such a valuable tool. So you said you can go even in past lives. Did you ever encounter someone who had limited beliefs from their past life, which they took in this life right now?
Yes, so I have had it happen a few times, and it's really funny. It'll happen to people who usually do have a bit of an understanding or concept of past lives because they themselves realize they're in a past life. For example, a woman that I was doing a session with, she regressed back and she could see that she was in like she was a white woman, but she could see that she was in an African tribe and that sort of thing, and seeing what was happening there. And with another person, they were um, they had gone to back to a time with a man or a person they didn't know in this time, but that man was really ill and they were taking care of that person, and they were able to recount the feelings that they were experiencing, feeling trapped, feeling obliged, and all those kinds of things. So it was really interesting to experience as a hypnotherapist and witness that.
Yeah, I believe that. I myself did something like this, past life regressions, because I get a lot of triggers. And so I know how important this is, because I didn't know that this was actually still in my current life, and it influenced me so much. So
Mm-hmm.
are you able to, when you know, oh, somebody has a limited belief or a trauma from a past life, can you actually get rid of it or reprogram the person so they lose this?
So, what happens in my sessions is I never dictate where the subconscious mind is going to take you. So, we will work on an issue. For example, if you have an issue with anxiety and not being able to move forward with things or something like that, I will speak to the subconscious mind to take you to an experience or past time where this root cause was created, and the subconscious mind will work with you and will bring you to the experience that caused that. So it's not always a past life or a childhood or womb experience. We allow the subconscious mind to guide us, and it will allow, it's sort of like we have a full library of experiences. And when we tell the subconscious mind these issues, it will bring to the surface the most relevant experience that has dictated that belief. And that's why I really like the power of this, because I don't know, but you know, your subconscious mind knows. And that's such a powerful tool. So why dictate it when it will tell you the answers that you require?
So true. So do you think when you talk to the subconscious, you're actually talking to the soul of the person?
I truly believe that, but
Yeah.
not everyone within hypnotherapy believes that, because when you are talking to the subconscious, it's really we're getting the analytical mind out of the way, and we are really talking to the emotional mind. We're going sinking down into the heart space and really going deeper into your thoughts and vibrations and feelings. And I believe that's where everything is housed.
So true. I think so too. But again, not everybody, but at least we both do. And I think a lot
Yes.
of listeners as well. Um, I have another question actually, because you said you go to past traumas or a past scenario. So this is probably the most dominant one. But let's take, for example, the case fear. If
Mhm.
you go to the most dominant experience where you experienced fear and you remove this fear, are you able to remove all reoccurring or fear scenarios after this one, basically by removing this one?
Well, it depends on what the fear is. So, for example, if you have a fear of birds, right,
Mm-hmm.
the subconscious mind will take you to an experience where that was caused, and we will look into that, but we'll also look at perhaps, are there any other experiences, were there two other experiences or so forth, because really there are so many, but really within the session I'll only look at three main experiences, and from there we are able to evaluate those experiences and see how and why your subconscious mind has protected you to make you fearful of those birds, for example. And perhaps it served you at that time.
Mhm.
Perhaps it served you to run away from them, or, you know, maybe you were a child at that stage. But now, as an adult, and I don't know, perhaps you want to work with birds, it's no longer serving you, right? So we will ask the subconscious mind to let that belief go and thank them for what it has done for you leading up to that point. And we will rewire the mind to be able to you don't even need to love birds. You just need to be indifferent to them. So when you see one, you're just like, whatever. You don't think, oh, it's great. I love a bird. I want to marry it or anything like that. It's just, oh, okay, that's a bird. And you can carry on your day.
I love that you just said that the subconscious programmed this to protect us, because a lot of people think, oh, this is vicious. It's taking me from something, but it's not. It's actually
Correct.
protecting you. It's your subconscious, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Some people say it's your safety zone or your comfort zone, but in the end, it's protecting you. That's amazing.
Exactly. And that's what our mind always does. It's always working for us. Everything the mind does is always working for us. So some way it's trying to protect us in some shape or form.
Yeah. It's always for us, not against us. So true.
Exactly.
So how did you actually why did you thought about integrating tarot in there? Because there's probably a story behind that as well.
Well, I really I was doing tarot for myself and friends and family. And really, I find it a tool that speaks to me. When you find a spiritual tool, it needs to speak to you and your soul. Otherwise, it doesn't really have that resonance. And if you find that, and you need to just follow that path, follow those breadcrumbs. And I really found that that worked for me. And that's why I offer it to people. And when I do offer it to people, I'm always so nervous because I'm doing this, and I ask the spirit guides to guide me and ask their spirit guides. I invite them in to provide them a message. And then when I do the reading and people are like, yes, that absolutely resonates with me. I completely understand, because sometimes I'm reading it and I'm like, this does not make sense to me, like, because it's not my life, it's not my issue or anything. But for that person, it's such a great relief to hear it. It's pointing them in the right direction or that kind of thing. And it just is a bit like a warm cuddle, I find, when you have a tarot reading, because if you are open to receiving it, then you will receive a message from your guides. If you are closed off from it, I have done a reading once or twice from people who were skeptical or weren't really into that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And when I read for them, they're just like, no, 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 no. And of course they would, because, they weren't open to receiving a message or weren't willing to see. So, if you are open to receiving messages from your spirit guides, then you will receive a message from it.
So you're channeling basically, because I was wondering, I do this too. I myself, I can do tarot. I do, however, do the gypsy oracle cards. I couldn't do it for the life of it, but I'm always fortunate enough to channel what my higher self, the guides, my angels, their guides tell me, because otherwise I couldn't. So
Yes.
you probably have the skill, but you get supported. Did you do this from the
Correct.
beginning on, or was this something which just happened?
I felt whenever I do anything, I do call on my guides to help me. It's just like a natural thing for me. I do call on and I connect with God or the higher self, whatever you want to call it, and allow that to guide me in whatever I do. And I think it's just no one really tells you to do that. It's just
Yeah.
you feel like it's the right thing to do. So yeah, that's just what happens.
So, do you feel them, or do you have clear audience, or how do you know that they're there? Because we all have different.
I think it all comes down to trust. All I do in my mind is ask them to guide me and to provide this person with some guidance, and that's it. It's really short and sharp. It's not a long-winded ritual that I do or anything like that. It's very simple, and that's all you do need to do is just ask. I have done some medium work where not with clients though, just through myself and my own practice. And I find that quite draining because you're really having to ask for assistance, and then a spirit will come through as well. And when it, for me anyways, when I get a message come through, it's really like a thought, or sometimes I'll have an image, but it's very similar to your own thoughts, right? And to practice it, you really need to filter out, well, is this my thought, or is this has this come from a spirit guide? So it's really that practicing, and it is harder to practice your medium skills because you need to have a willing participant, right? And also not have a participant that you know or anything like that. It needs to be a stranger so they can justify, yes, that is correct, or no, I don't feel as though that message is correct, or I don't know who that is, and that kind of thing.
True, because you have to filter out your own ego, and with people, especially for yourself, it's so hard because this ego part is always there and it's popping up. For all the listeners who don't know, I got a reading from you, and it was point on because I kind of knew myself because I asked my angel and I connected to my soul, my higher self. I channel a lot, and I'm a medium. So for me, it comes natural. I never practice. It's just there. So, but when you said this, because I had no idea, and I was like, just ask. And it was more like my self-doubt was so present at that time. So I needed somebody who confirm what I was feeling. And you confirmed it right, really on point. It was amazing. And so for everybody who wants a tarot reading, you're amazing. You did really well. And your guides probably helped you a lot, really well. Yeah. So now you said you're combining both of us. You're combining the tarot with the hypnotherapy. How does this work?
Well, I only offer it to clients who are willing to receive it, because it's not everyone that is willing to receive that, right? And it's more so in our follow-up sessions if they're wanting to receive that guidance, because after a healing session with hypnotherapy, there are a lot of changes happening, right? Usually after a session with me, it's called like a real shift in your life is happening, and you may feel a lot of discomfort in your body, that kind of thing as you go through a healing. And it is challenging, right? When you do that kind of shadow work. And usually I'll check in with clients to see how they're going and that kind of thing. And that's when I'll offer it to see if they are wanting a reading to, just provide that comfort and provide that direction for them.
Oh, that's amazing. Because I remember when I did this, my soul is really bubbly. I have an old soul, so I have a lot of past life regression. So when I went through this, the first time was so horrible for me. And I remember I was really freaked out because all these old memories came. It was like a wave and it was flooding me. And I remember I couldn't sleep. I couldn't close my eyes. I must say I had a really hard past life. I was a slave for more than hundreds of years. So I
My
remember
goodness.
every time I closed my eyes, I saw this mask and all this horrible scenarios. And yeah, I think then tarot comes really handy because this helps you get through this. This helps you to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It was really, really bad. And I had a couple of those because I had a lot of different lives. So do you experience this a lot when people go home and they call you a couple of days later and they're freaking out? Is this happening a lot?
Yes, so they'll have more memories come up, and also they'll be quite sensitive. So there'll be quite a bit of crying the next few days, or like up to 7 days perhaps. Like they'll feel like they're more emotional, but it's just important to let those feelings out. Like it's so important as for the healing journey to release those emotions and let it all go, because that is a big part of the healing.
That makes so much sense. Yeah.
Mm.
It's a really intense experience, but at the same time, a really, really valuable one because, like I said before, I lost those chains and I was actually able to free myself. Did you experience a lot of people who actually transformed their life through this and they had like major breakthroughs in their life?
Through past life regressions?
Yes.
Yes, well, I have had someone with the ones that went back to Africa. They had a really concept of them not being beautiful enough and not being enough in the way through their image. And after the session, they were able to just truly love themselves for the way they were, rather than looking at themselves as though something was off about them or something just wasn't right. And they were able to accept themselves for who they were. And I know this might sound like it's not such a big thing, but it is a really big thing when someone has been struggling with that for many, many years, like since childhood, and then to become an adult and become comfortable in their own skin. It is so freeing for them to go out in life with more confidence, with more vibe, and just truly love themselves. It's such a transformative experience to be able to do that.
Oh, definitely. I would say this is a root thing for all of us because knowing your worth relates to everything in your life. If you have low self-worth, you will never feel deserving of what you could achieve. So you're playing small. If you feel not beautiful, you will never go out there and find somebody who is really deserving of you. And so, yeah, definitely self-love is such a big thing. And I know best because I have a coaching course for self-love because this was where my journey started. So I totally see you and I feel you. This is so important.
Yeah, that would help so many people, because I find that it is such a common trend with people, men and women.
Yes. It's so overlooked too. So you helped
Yes.
somebody and you did probably her such a big favor. She probably didn't know at that time, but now slowly her life unravels and she sees the impact this had. So how long do these sessions take? Do you need just one or do you need a lot of those?
Well, it all depends on the issue, right? Like you just never know. Sometimes people will have one session and that's so powerful and transformative for them. They're absolutely fine. Some people, they will feel a bit of a transformation, but they want to come back again for another type of situation or an issue. So it's really up to the individual as to how many sessions. But I just do one session per person and it's a 90-minute session.
Okay.
And I like to also like catch up with people before the session to really talk to them and get a better understanding of their life and their expectations and that kind of thing. And then also I like to follow up on their healing, because it is such a journey just after that session. And it's important to just touch base and be that guiding light for them.
That's amazing. Yes. So how does a session work generally? So you put them in hypnosis, and then I heard somebody said like they tape what you do throughout the session, and then you get the tape, so you have to listen to it over and over for a couple of days, so it's manifesting. Is that true? Do you do this like that?
So I don't tape the whole session. I tape at the end. I do a rewiring hypnosis that is purely specific for that person. And it's rewiring and manifesting these new beliefs into their subconscious mind, because the hypnosis session is, if you'd like to think of it like the operation. So we go in, we find what the issue is, we take that out, and then afterwards, you need your medication, right? So the hypnosis audio that I provide is your medication for you to listen to. I like to suggest for people to listen to it for 3 weeks at least, and to really help that rewiring of the mind. If they listen to it once a day, that's absolutely fine. Even if they listen to it whilst falling asleep, it's absolutely fine. So it's just helping them rewire those beliefs.
Okay, so that's wonderful, because generally when I do something, I need to do it over and over and over again until I feel in myself, oh, now it's stuck. Now I understand it. I feel it. So it's probably similar there. Do you do, if somebody comes with a trauma which is really intense, I mean, there are so many horrible things that happen nowadays, or in general, it probably always happened. We just didn't talk that much about this. Are you able to reprogram somebody who has really intense trauma, like to the core shaking trauma?
Correct. Yes. So we can. Sexual trauma, emotional, physical. It's something that we can certainly help. The interesting thing with trauma, though, is that sometimes a person may believe that through hypnosis we'll go back to the event of what that trauma was created. And sometimes, yes, that does happen. But sometimes, no, that's not always the case. Like, for example, if you've been in a narcissistic relationship with someone, a lot of the time when I do the regressions, people don't go back to the relationship. They'll go back to a time in childhood. And it's because there were beliefs created in childhood that allowed you to attract or not welcome, but allow that person into your life and to remain in your life as well. And it, as you said, it comes down to self-worth. So people not believing they're enough because of traumas that happened in childhood, perhaps through neglect from a parent or abuse from a friend or a teacher, anything like that happened in childhood causes you to have these events in adulthood as well. So it's very interesting when we talk about trauma. Sometimes we'll go back to the actual trauma that occurs in possible adulthood, and sometimes not.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I always imagine this like you built in childhood a cookie cutter form, and you use this form for all your past, your future relationships. You just copy and paste it, and you think, this is how people treated me there, so this is right. And I'm searching for this abuse because in my mind, this abuse is love and safety. and security. So you copy it in all your past relationships until you've been so abused that you realize, okay, now I have to change my pattern because it doesn't work. Take a different cookie cutter form. So it's probably, right? It's basically this scenario. Oh, yeah.
And a lot of the times, so for example, if you've been neglected as a child, you don't think that you are enough. So when you go into a relationship, you're happy with the mediocre behavior. You're fine with them bossing you around, telling you what to do, but not receiving anything back from them. Because for you, that is normal. It's something that you believe you deserve, and that's all that you deserve. So that's why these reoccurring cycles occur. Now, sometimes if you haven't experienced that and you have a relationship like that just once, you may not have a trauma related to it. But if you find yourself in the next relationship, the same type of person, the next relationship, the same type of person, and, that's when hey, this is a recurring pattern. I need to find out why this keeps happening to me, and how can I go about changing that?
Yeah, I think you're probably just fixing patterns. You're not fixing one-time issues. Well, I mean, it depends probably when you're in a really, really big abusive situation, which, I don't know, a childhood
Really
molester or something.
huge.
This happens one, and then you probably can fix this as well. But in general, patterns are the thing. So whoever listens to this, my love, if you feel like you have something reoccurring, find Suzanne. She's fixing you. So going back
and that's the thing with hypnotherapy as well. Sorry.
No.
is that it'll only work if you have issues that are really pressing for you. So I'll always ask a client, like 1 out of 10, how much is this issue affecting you? Like 10, it really is affecting me. 1, it's not really affecting me. And if it's like a 8 to a 10, then yes, we can work with it. However, if it's like, a lower number, it just will not work whatsoever because it's not that important to your subconscious mind. Like, for example, if someone came to me and said, oh, I want hypnotherapy because I don't know how to sew or something like that.
Yeah.
It just won't work because there is no, real defining moment around that. Your subconscious mind won't work with you. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, this isn't important or anything like that.
That makes sense. So usually people come to you and they might not know what's actually a pressing thing because sometimes our subconscious pushes this into a box and buries it really, really deep.
Correct.
So they probably come to you with a different issue. How do you handle this? Do you sense there's something more, or if you're actually talking to them, you can feel, oh, there's a different issue actually underlying?
Nope. I always go with that issue because I always find the subconscious mind will guide them. So, for example, if someone comes to me with a skin issue and they're saying, oh, my skin just keeps breaking out or blah, 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 all these types of things, well, I'll say, okay, well, we'll look at these skin issues and that kind of thing. We'll ask the subconscious mind to take us back to where this began and that kind of thing. And we'll allow the subconscious mind to dictate where it takes us. And it could take us back to a time where they were, wanting to hide and not wanting people to look at them because perhaps they were a beautiful child and they were getting the wrong attention and they were abused and that kind of thing. So this I allow the subconscious mind to do. I always work with the issue that the client comes in with, and the subconscious mind will guide the session. And that's why it's so, so powerful. And that's where they'll have like aha moments like, oh my goodness, this is related to this when this happened and it's happening because of that. And, it all lines up and makes sense.
Yeah, this makes sense because most of the time we don't actually know what's hidden. And a lot of people don't dig deep enough because it's a scary place to go. So
Mm-hmm.
you're taking care of this. They don't have to go deep. You do this. That's wonderful.
Correct.
So I have another question going back to the tarot. Did the cards pick you, or was there a reason why you picked tarot as a card deck? Because there are so many oracle cards. So did they talk to you, or?
To be honest, I had a connection with someone. So I use Jericho Mandibure's tarot cards. It's called Neo Tarot. It's not the traditional tarot cards as well.
Mhm.
And I just found that when I got it, it spoke to me. So I've bought, different oracle cards and all these kind of other cards. And I just didn't feel as though it resonated with me. But when I had this one, I really, really loved it and I felt a connection to it. And I think it's, one of my prized possessions.
Oh, this is so sweet. Yes, because I feel like having something where you resonate towards. This is your guides telling me this is the right thing. Take it.
Exactly.
Are there any breakthrough scenarios or experience you had where the rapid transformation didn't really resonated so deeply, but then they had this reading and this made all of a sudden sense for them and they had the breakthrough through this?
I haven't had that happen to me as of yet. Perhaps that will happen down the line, maybe. But I really find that if people come to you, they'll have some sort of transformation because they've been guided to you for that reason and something will spark. Whether it's some sort of small transformation or a large, real huge transformation, it will happen for them. And I find tarot a lot of the times it's an affirmation for people and also helping them with decisions. So perhaps they have a decision coming up and they want some direction from their guides, and it really helps them in that way.
Yes, I remember my mom was into this for a long time, actually. After her divorce, she was reading the cards almost daily. And I would say this is so funny because I recently read somebody said, I think on Threads, they read, as soon as you're over your relationship troubles, you stop reading your cards daily. And it's so true because there's only this point where you do this daily when you have really an intense need.
Correct. And I feel as though a lot of the spiritual journey, you will find your healing or your medicine when you need it most. And then your guides will sort of back off and you can live your life in the masculine, if you like. And a lot of the times when you need to dive into your feminine, do your soul work, it will happen and you will feel like it is the right time. Sometimes you do need that helping hand when you're going through a rougher time in life. And when you're in your normal state, when you're in a happier state, a lot of the time spiritual people will still keep their rituals up to date and they'll still do either their meditations, their journal writings, and sometimes their tarot, but they won't be so dependent on it. But it is so important to know and have those tools when you are going through a challenging time and know what to turn to. It is such a therapeutic thing to do to help and get that guidance when you do need it.
Do you feel like there's a negative part to this, that you're too dependent on this or that you could be too dependent on the guidance? So it's basically like an addiction?
Well, I think if you use it as a crutch and you're not listening to your own intuition, so there comes to time when you need your guidance, but then you also have to live your life, right? You have to make decisions on your own, use your free will. And even though tarot does provide you guidance, but it doesn't mean you have to follow everything that you do with it, right? I did find disturbing post on Threads that I can relate to where I think it's gone to a toxic end.
Mm-hmm.
Where a girl was saying that a partner had left her and she really wanted to know how to manifest him back. She wanted to manifest him back and she had manifested the relationship and now she wanted to manifest it back. And, there is times in life where what you need to do is not manifest. You just need to deal with your emotions. And also, a very important thing in life is letting go. Letting go is such an important part in life. And if things are meant to be, it will be. There is times when we can take actions and so forth, but sometimes we need to evaluate the situation, see why it happened, and be able to move on or know our self-worth.
Definitely. If something is resistant or hard, it's not meant for you. It's just not.
Yes. And she even kept saying, so it was a thread, like 6 threads. And she said, I've done this. And then I got more resistance. And then I did this. And then there was more resistance and he's gone further away. And then I did this. And I was like, oh my goodness, like that is telling you something. Like universe is telling you to let go. You
Yes.
really need to let go. And
She received
that's
her.
when I think it's toxic.
Yes, definitely. She received her lesson and now she just has to
Correct.
integrate it.
Correct.
So you'd believe that your guides, they show you the tarot and they lead you towards it when it's the right time. But you still think your soul, your intuition is supposed to guide you as well. So you have to find out when is what's suitable. That makes sense.
And I feel as though most people who do have a tarot reading are quite intuitive and they're able to tap into the intuition and know what resonates for them. I've found that if you're not that type of intuitive person, it's very hard to understand your reading and know where to go from there.
Oh, so you already have this resistance. You can feel when somebody's not true on board with this. While reading it, you feel already the resistance. It's hard to read for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a great indication already. Yeah, I felt this too. I totally relate with it. Yes. So before we come to this end, because this was a really wonderful interview, I'd like to know where people can find you.
Well, they can find me on Instagram at I am Suzanne Burton or on Threads. I have been spending more time on Threads and it's the same. I am Suzanne Burton. And all my links are there.
Awesome. Yes, I remembered you said you're probably pivoting more toward Threads because
Correct.
Instagram is not really gratification. People are, I don't know, it's a different community. And
Yes. I find Instagram is so fake compared to Threads. I find that Threads, I'm talking to real people. I feel as though you're having a more in-depth conversation, whereas Instagram I'm finding is quite more superficial,
yeah.
and I'm not really connecting there.
Yes, I feel so too, because I think Threads, first of all, it has an amazing algorithm, but I also think that people are more raw there. And
Correct.
The energy is different. People truly want to connect on a true level, because I feel like all these pictures and all this pressure you have on Instagram, it's not there, it's removed. So you can just be yourself. And there are a lot of people who share really intimate things about them. And so this platform is more, I keep repeating me, but I feel like it's more raw. People are more authentic.
So true. And you're so right, because when you make people have to do a photo or a reel and dance and all this sort of stuff. It's really forcing a type of communication, whereas threads, people can simply write, and everyone knows how to write. Right.
Yeah.
So it's an easier form and it feels more natural for people. So therefore, you're having more people having more conversations and being themselves rather than writing these ridiculous captions or things and attention grabbing things that people are writing from their heart.
Yeah. I think people can stay in their own energy, because you said something previous to this before I started all this threats campaigning here, but it was really interesting. You said spirituality, you have a different energy, and it felt like as if you're spiritual, you can be more into your feminine energy. It feels like spirituality is a feminine energy thing, while the male energy, I feel like, is more our outside life, the society. And the creative things are feminine energy. So writing is still feminine energy. So
yes, that's true.
do you think you can be in your female energy and your authentic energy when you connect with spirituality and writing, all the creative things?
Yeah, I really do think so. And I really feel as though the time in the world at the moment is calling people to tap into more of their feminine energy, and even for men to tap into more of their feminine energy. You know, we've been so much do, buy, buy, rather than just being still, being in the present moment, allowing our creativity to surface and guide us and connect with our intuitive self. Like, so many people are so lost in the world right now and looking for answers from external people rather than connecting with either their guides, their intuition, and allowing them to be led in that way. And that's, again, why I really like the power of hypnotherapy and working with the subconscious mind, because I'm not dictating and telling people what the answer is, because I don't know. Your mind knows, your soul knows, and that's where the power is.
So true. Did you experience second guessing when you started this? Because it's going through you. This subconscious mind tells you, but do you have sometimes that you think, maybe I misunderstood, or are there some doubts in between, or are you always super clear?
Yeah, I'm always super clear when I'm doing hypnotherapy, because I'm speaking to them, we're having a conversation, and we're really working through it. And I do see the pieces of the puzzle starting to form. So it is very reaffirming. It's not like something that doesn't make sense. It makes sense to them. It makes sense to me. So I find that really comforting. It's not something that I've had to second guess.
Is there any danger in this, so that people not want to come to conscious again because they feel trapped in their subconscious?
No. So when you're in hypnotherapy, you are always in control. So a lot of the times it will feel like, I don't know if you do yoga, it's like you're lying in savasana, but you've been lying there for a long time. You're very relaxed. So sometimes just as though you're on the precipice of falling asleep, really, but you're not falling asleep. So I've had someone who has stopped a session and been like, I need to wee. So, you are able to still control your mind. So I'm not controlling you or anything like that. If something does happen, you're still aware of what's going on. You're in the room wherever you are and that kind of thing.
So I don't know if this is true, but is this that you go to your alpha or even theta brain waves? So this
Yes. So I don't have any brainwave, measuring capacity, but it is going to those deeper levels.
Okay. This is so interesting because I feel like there we are on this verge. It's for everybody who doesn't know, this is basically the brain frequency where you are when you fall asleep, but your brain is clear. It can work clearly, but you're actually in a waking moment at this time when you do it through hypnotherapy. Because in general, we have this just for a split moment before we actually sleep. And we are, we can't control it anymore. But this, you're awake. And this is amazing because I don't know if this is true, but I feel like we can connect from this level to our highest self. We can connect from this level to our subconscious, and we can actually start unraveling things, basically like you do.
Correct. Yes.
Can you actually talk to their higher self as well during these sessions?
I actually haven't tried. I always stick to talking to the subconscious mind. But again, I always feel that the subconscious mind is already connected through that way.
Mm-hmm.
And we are talking with the soul self. So it's hard to say and hard to define and dissect the two, right? I just feel as though they are intersected and guiding that person to what they need.
That's true. And when you're in this moment, do you actually can use this as also aligning people or helping them to find their purpose? Because a lot of people, they don't know what their purpose is and they don't know how to align. They do know what they like, but they're still so confused. And this is basically you're offering a shortcut. Are you able to find out what truly resonates with them, what truly is their highest purpose in life?
It all depends on what they come to me for. So if their session is for them not knowing their soul purpose and not really knowing what to do in life, then that is what we'll look into. But if they've come to me about, confidence issues, then that's not what we're going to focus on. It's really important when you're working with the subconscious mind that we're not jumping to all different types of things. We're really focusing on one issue or one thing. So it will direct us and guide us that way.
Oh, that's amazing. So you're basically an all-round professional. You can do everything. You can't just only remove traumas, but you can help people to find purpose, to find maybe even love, to find to their higher self. So you can help basically everyone with all their problems. That's amazing.
Right. If that's what they're coming to me for, then definitely. The subconscious mind is a powerful thing. It is such a powerful tool. And I feel as though where we are in science and that kind of thing, we still don't know the full extent of the power of our mind. And I feel as though there is still so much more to learn.
It's so true. Thank you so much for this really enlightening and amazing interview. I took you quite a bit from everywhere, I know, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Before we wrap up, I want to thank you, Suzanne, for sharing your insight and wisdom on how RTT and Tarot can be a powerful tool for healing. And to all my wonderful listeners out there, you can find all of Suzanne's information linked in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, I invite you to join our community over at the Soul Desire Podcast Facebook group. It's an amazing space for us to connect, share our experiences, and support one another on our personal growth journeys. I'd also love to hear your thoughts on the podcast, so please leave a review wherever you listen. Your feedback truly helps the show to reach more listeners and keeps us growing together. It truly means the world to me. And don't forget, we'll be back with a new episode on Monday. I can't wait to dive into another exciting topic with all of you. Thank you for tuning in today. I genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. for being a part of this journey. Until next time, take care and keep embracing your soul's desire.